Okay, guys. Today uh, we will read our article, and we started for introduce ourselves. Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Abdul Diansyah. I'm from SMK Negeri 1 Surabaya.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Hafiz Rashid from SMKN 1 Surabaya, majoring in multimedia.
Hello, my name is Ariel Bintri Saputra. I'm from school SMKN 1 Sanden, Matuluk, Jakarta.
Hello, my name is Rafif Irfan Maulana. I am from SMK Negeri 1 Sanden, Bantul. Thank you.
Okay, I want to read my article about IMF approves $3 billion pilot for cash start with Pakistan. The article written by Asif Shahzad. Reuters or Islamabad, the International Monetary Fund for approved 3 billion US dollar bailout program for Pakistan, which will immediately disburse about $1.2 billion to help stabilize the South Asian island economy, the lender said on Wednesday. Pakistan and the fund reached a staff level agreement last month, securing a short-term pact which got more than the expected funding for the big country of 230 million people, which faces acute balance for payments or crisis with only enough central bank reserve to cover barely amount of controlled imports. The board's approval was moderately favorably dispersing the first tranche, or with the rest to arrive later in its installment. Economic stabilization, the IMF Executive Board approved a 9-month standby arrangement SBA for Pakistan for an amount of $2,250 million, about $3 billion or 11% of quota to support the authorities' economic stabilization programs. The lender said in a statement, it said Pakistan faced a difficult external environment devastating floods and policy instability led to large fiscal and external deficits. The rising inflation and exploded reserve buffer in 23 FE, the deal a lifeline for Pakistan, which has been on the cusp of default, came after 8 months of the negotiation over fiscal disciplines. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the bailout was a major step forward in the government's effort to stabilize the economy and achieve macroeconomic stability. It bolstered Pakistan's economic position to overcome immediate to medium-term economic challenges, giving the government the fiscal space to chart the way forward, he said. Terming it a milestone, Sharif said it was achieved against the heaviest of odds and against a seemingly impossible deadline. Sharif's coalition government is due to face a national election this year and will undertake more painful fiscal discipline measures to satisfy the IMF. It included the central bank raising the policy interest rate to a record high of 22%, while ordinary Pakistanis struggle with inflation running at about 29% and the government raising 385 billion rupees in new tax policy ensure. The IMF said the fresh funding will provide a policy ensure for addressing domestic and external influence and a framework for financial support from a multilateral and bilateral partners. The program will focus on implementation of the FY24 budget to facilitate Pakistan needed fiscal adjustment and ensure that sustainably while protecting critical social spending, a return to a market determined the exchange rate, a proper FX market functioning to absorb external shock and eliminated FX shortage, it said. The IMF said it wanted Islamabad to ensure a tight monetary policy aimed at disinflation and further progress on structural reforms, particularly in the energy sector, state-owned enterprise governance, and climate resilience. The deal, which has already brought some relief to investors in the country's stock exchange rate bonds, will unlock more internal financing. Okay, next up with Rashid.
Okay, thank you, Muhammad Ardansha. I want to read my newspaper. Shrinking domestic industry threatens RE rubber's export. The world is expecting expansion of the rubber industry in the near future, but Indonesia may not get a piece of pie in the face of lagging downstream of the commodity. The value of global rubber market is expected to reach 51.21 billion US dollar by 2027 from 40.77 billion US dollar in 2019 due to rising demand from to automotive, construction, and aerospace industry, according to a report from Fortune Business Insight. Other factors include the expanding market for natural rubber, driven by increased demand for tires and industrial durable goods, such as leanings for petroleum and chemical tanks, as well as automotive gasket and seals, as is Spain, chairman of an Indonesian Rubber Council, told the Jakarta Post on Wednesday that Indonesia might not be able to develop its downstream rubber industry in time to seize the enormous opportunity. Indonesia rubber industries has suffered a significant decline, as he said, pointing to an increased number of rubber factories that has closed in the last 4 years. The closures were due to cleaning raw materials, he explained, whereas other countries were continuing in incentivize plantation expansion and downstream industry development. As is pointed into example of Thailand where almost all upstream output was used as input for that country rubber industry. In contrast, roughly mere 15% of the total rubber's output in Indonesia was absorbed by the domestic industry. Indonesia produced 3.40 million tons of natural rubber last year, according to Statistic Indonesia or BPS figure that has remained stagnant for the past decade. According to International Trade Center online data-based trade map, Indonesia is the world's second largest export of natural rubber after Thailand, but its output has been fluctuating of downward trend for at least the last 5 years. BPS data showed that Indonesia shipped 3.94 million tons of rubber in 2017, sorry, after which rubber shipment declined steady each year to reach 2.58 million tons. In 2022, a total decline of almost 30%. If the condition continues to persist today, Indonesia will not be able to maintain in position as the second largest rubber producer worldwide, let alone develop its downstream industry. It is a pity because Indonesia has enormous potential. That as he said, and Erwin Tunas, executive director of the Indonesia Rubber Producers Association or GAPINDO, told the Post of Indonesia that the rubber industry had a nationwide processing capacity of 4.6 million tons, but it only see 2.6 million tons supply of the raw materials. This had results in relatively low utilization rate of 57.4%. He continued, and many rubber factories ended up closing because of a shortage of natural rubber. Indonesia a relatively high processing capacity, but it's not coupled steady growth natural rubber output. Erwin told Post Wednesday, attribute decline in production primarily to lack of rubber rejuvenation of plantation combined with disease and extreme weather impact from La Nina in the last 3 years. Consequently, he said many farmer was switching cultivation of palms instead of rubber trees because they were demand more profitable for existing smallholder rubber farmer. The challenge had been exacerbated by growing difficulty in the obtaining subsidized fertilizer in the recent year. Erwin said, Statista report that the average global price of rubber was 1.54 dollar per kilogram as of this April. This marked a sharp fall from peak price 4.82 dollar per kilogram in 2011, according to Singapore Commodity Exchange. In the way the global price the decline in Indonesia from gate price for rubber had dropped to between 8,000 and 90,000 euro rupiah per kilogram, while the ideal price was above 10 rupiah per kilogram. Erwin said. Jim Jacob, chief analytic and co-founder of Wagneck Rubber Media International, said Indonesia used to be preferred source of natural rubber for many automobile and complainers of the world, many because of its cost advantage are Southeast Asia pairs. However, Indonesian natural rubber has lost a cost advantage over the past few years, largely due to poor yield of Altex for its rubber holding. He wrote in LinkedIn post article published in August 2022, the industry is shrinking trend rubber holding in country are transformed to economically viable by raising the average yield. Jacob wrote, this would include a well-designed accelerated replanting Indonesia support by attractive financial incentive that meets the huge replanting cost and the developed cost till replant trees start yielding after adjustment period of around 7 years. Okay, that is from me. Okay, next, Arizal Windri.
Oke, habis. Succeeded in attack on Mexican police, Sergio Blanco. Agency France Peace Gunalaja Mexican. An explosive attack on a police patrol left 6 people dead and one region Michigan were his by drug culture-related violence. Authorities said on Wednesday it's an act of brutal terror, said Enrique Alvaro, governor of the western state of Jalisco. The attack Thursday night using 7 explosive devices target police and staff from the state prefecture office in Rajumco de Juniga, a suburb of the city of Kundaraja. He said the region is home to the Jalisco new generation cartel of Mexico most powerful and violent drug trafficking group. This is an unprecedented event that shows that these organized crime groups are capable of, Alvaro said, without accusing a specific organization. This attack also represents a challenge against the Mexican state as a whole. He added, intimidation tactics will firearms are the weapon of choice for Tarta members. A car bomb killed a National Guardian man and wounded other in Juni in Gunan Juando. Another state hit hard by gang-related violence. Drug cartel apparel to be employing increasingly radical tactic to terrorist security forces, according to experts. These are strategies of turning violence into intimidation the authorities and the population general to request sorry, terror skin terror sneak technical investigation on Wednesday the site of an explosive attack against a police patrol in Tlajomulco de Junica, a ship in Jalisco State, Mexico. Cartel Universidad de las Americanas Puebla, a private university, told AFP. Early this month, an explosive laden drone struck on house in Mechoacan. Another affairs private state holding 1%. Meanwhile, drone attack of in report in underwater flashpoint. The object in is to reduce the firepower of rival from other car as well as the security forces and provoke terror among the civil population school on start David Segundo AFP. The script said NATO terrorism. The Jalisco new generation cartel in particular in nowhere now for launching present attack against the authorities. In 2015, in Gunawan shot down an army helicopter with rocket propelled grenade kill members of the security forces. The police patrol was responded in the report from a member of group searching for missing relative who said she had received the anonymous phone call and tip-off about a distant crash. The governor said it was a trap. He added that version of Ivan Hofer was called into question by one society organization in the region. This call was never made to using. Indira Navarro, a member of a collective of mother of missing person in Jalisco, told the press adding that such group were in close contact. More than 110,000 people alleged is having disappeared in Mexico, and even looking for them can carry significant risk. Jalisco has the most missing among the country 32 states, around 50,000 cents. Michigan has recorded more than 340,000 murders and the launch of a controversial military and drug option in 2016, most attributed to criminal organization. Also on Tuesday, there then security personnel who had been taken captive the day before by prosecutors in the southern part of Guerrero were released after negotiations with authorities. Officials said the protests were infiltrated by a criminal group in Guerrero, which has entered yes violent linked to wars between drug cartels. Next, Rafif Irfan Maulana.
Okay, thank you, Arya. What are solid fuel missiles and why is an Korea developing them? Hayon Hae Shin. Reuters Seoul, North Korea has long 18 intercontinental ballistic missile ICBM launched for the second time on Wednesday. Uses solid fuel technology giving it the capability to load well lethal preparation. There are some characters of solid fuel technology and hope it can help the country improve in missile system. What is solid fuel technology? Solid propellant are a mixture of fuel and oxidizer. Metallic powder shows as aluminum of the server as the fuel. And ammonium perchlorate, which is the salt of perchloric acid, and ammonia is the most common oxidizer. The fuel and oxidizer are bound together by a hard ruby-made missile reel and packed into a metal casing. When solid propellant bursts oxygen from the ammonium perchlorate combination combines with aluminum to generate an amount of energy and temperature of the more the 2760 degrees Celsius. Let in truss and lifting the missile from the launch pad. Who has the technology solid full data back to fire was developed by the Chinese Contourage Agu. But made the drama is progress in the mid-20th century, when the United States developed more powerful propellants. North Korea solid full in range of small short range ballistic missiles. The Soviet Union pilot is the first solid full ICBM. The RT-2 in early on 1970. Followed by French development of its S3. Hallo, known as SSBS, a medium-range ballistic China started testing solid full ICBMs in the late 1990. More survivable than liquid fuel. South Korea has also said and has weapons correct, efficient, and advanced. Solid propellant ballistic missile technology. Talk in much smaller rockets so far, solid versus liquid. Liquid propellant provide greater propulsive thrust and power, but require more complex technology and extra weight. Solid fuel is denser and burns quickly, generating thrust over a short time. Solid fuel can remain in storage for a stack and period without degrading or breaking down. I common issue with liquid fuel. Fun depend from use government website experts will no work with the 3X North project set solid fuel missile are easier and safer operate operator and require less logistical support, making them harder to detect and kit Panda, a senior fellow the U.S.-based Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, said any country that operates large-scale missile-based nuclear force I will solid propellant missile which do not need to be fueled immediately ahead of launch. These capabilities are more responsive in a time of crisis. Panda said. North Korea said the development is new solid fuel ICBM the Hwang 18-volt radical promote its nuclear counterattack capability. After the first launch, Korea Defense Ministry sought to downplay the testing saying the North will need extra time and effort to master the technology. On Tuesday, a ministry spokesperson said they were still analyzing the latest launch. Next, roughly.
Okay, guys, I will write my article about IMF approves $3 billion payload for cash-starved Pakistan. The article written by Asif Shahzad, Reuters or Islamabad. The International Monetary Funds Board approved a 3 billion US dollar payload programs for Pakistan, which will immediately to disburse about $1.2 billion to help stabilize the South ASEAN ailing economy, the lenders on which state. Pakistan and the UN reached a staff-level agreement last month securing a short-term pact which got more than the expected funding for the country of 250 million people, which faces an acute balance of payments crisis with only enough central bank reserves to cover barely amount of controlled imports. The board's approval was mandatory before disbursing the first tranche, with the rest to arrive later in installments. Economic stabilization, the IMF Executive Board approved a 9-month standby arrangement SBA for Pakistan for an amount of $2,250 million to support the authorities' economic stabilization programs. The lender said in a statement, it said Pakistan faced a difficult external environment, devastating floods, and policy steps have led to large fiscal and external deficits, rising inflation, and eroded reserve buffer in FY23. The deal, a lifeline for Pakistan, which has been on the cusp of default, came after 8 months of two negotiations over fiscal disciplines. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the bailout was a major step forward in the government effort to stabilize the economy and achieve macroeconomic stability. It both put Pakistan's economic position to overcome immediate to medium-term economic challenges, giving the government the fiscal space to chart the way forward, he said. Terming it a milestone, the sheriff said it was a shift against the heaviest of odds and against a seemingly impossible deadline. Sheriff's coalition government is due to face a national elections this year and must undertake more painful fiscal discipline measures to satisfy the IMF. It included the central bank raising its policy interest rate to a record high of 22% while ordinary Pakistani fragile with inflation running at about 29% and the government raising 385 billion rupees in new taxes. Policy unsure, the IMF said the fresh funding will provide a policy unsure for addressing domestic and external imbalance and a framework for financial support from multilateral and bilateral partners. The program will focus on implementation of the FY24 budget to facilitate Pakistan-related fiscal adjustment and ensure their sustainability while protecting critical social spending. A return to a market determined exchange rate and proper FX market functioning to absorb external shocks and eliminate FX shortage. It said the IMF said it wanted Islamabad to ensure the tight monetary policy aimed at disinflation and further progress on structural reforms, particularly in the energy sector, state-owned enterprise, governments, and climate resilience. The deal, which has already brought some relief to investor in a country's stocks, exchange rates, and books, will unlock more external financing. Okay, next, Muhammad Hafiz Ar-Rashid, can you tell about your newspaper?
Okay, thank you. Actually, you can run on. I wanna read my newspaper. The world is expecting expansion of the rubber industry in the near future, but Indonesia may not get a piece of pie in the face of lagging downstream of the commodity. The value of global rubber market is expected to reach 51.21 billion US dollar by 2027 from 40.77 billion US dollar in 2019 due to rising demand from the automotive, construction, and aerospace industries, according to a report from Fortune Business Insight. Other factors include expanding market for natural rubber driven by increasing demand for tires and industrial durable goods, such as lining for petroleum and chemical tanks, well as automotive gasket, and Seagulls as Spain, chairman of the Indonesian Rubber Council, told Jakarta Post and on Wednesday that Indonesia might not be able to develop its downstream rubber industry in time, says the enormous opportunity. Indonesia rubber industry has suffered a significant decline, as it said, point to increasing number of rubber factories and had closed in the last 4 years. The closures were due to declining raw materials, he explained, whereas other countries were intensify plantation expansion and downstream industry development. As is point to the example of Thailand, where almost all upstream out was used as input for the country rubber industry, increases roughly mere 15% of total rubber output in Indonesia was absorbed by the domestic industry. Indonesia produced 3.14 million tons of natural rubber last year, according to Statistics Indonesia or BPS, figure that has remained stagnant for the past decade, according to International Trade Center online database trade map. Indonesia is the world's second largest export of natural rubber after Thailand, but its output has been factoring on the downward trend for at least the 5 years. BPS data showed that Indonesian shipped 3.94 million tons of rubber in 2017, after which rubber shipment declined steadily each year to reach 2.78 million tons in 2022, a total decline of almost 30%. If the condition continues persists today, Indonesia will not be able to maintain its position as the second largest rubber production worldwide, let alone develop of it is downstream industry. It is a pity because Indonesia has enormous potential. That, as is said, Erwin Tunas, executive director of Indonesian Rubber Production Association or GAPINDO, told the Post on Wednesday that the rubber industry had a nationwide processing capacity of 4.6 million tons, but it only see 2.6 million tons supply of the raw materials. This had resulted in the relativity low utilization rate of for 56.4%. He continued, and many rubber factory end up closing because of shortage of natural rubber. Indonesia has a relatively high processing capacity, but is not covered by the growing natural rubber output. Erwin told the Post on Wednesday. He attributed the decline in production primarily to the lack of rubber rejuvenation plantation, combined with research and extreme weather impact from La Nina in the last 3 years. Consequently, he said May farmers were switching to cultivation oil palms instead of rubber trees because they were demand for profitable for existing smallholder rubber farmer. Their challenge had been exacerbated by growing difficulty in obtaining subsistence fertilizer in recent years. Erwin said, statistical report that average global price of rubber was $1.54 per kilogram as of this April. This marked a sharp fall from peak price of $4.82 per kilogram in 2011, according to Singapore Commodity Exchange. In line with a global price decline, Indonesia farm gate price for rubber had dropped to be to between 8,000 rupiah and 9,000 rupiah per kilogram, while the idea price was above 10,000 rupiah per kilogram. Erwin said, uh, Jim Jacob, a chief analyst and co-founder of Warnek Rubber Media International, said Indonesia used to be preferred source natural rubber for many automobile tire companies in the world, mainly because of its cost advantage over its Southeast Asia peers. However, Indonesian natural rubber has lost its cost and advantage over past few years, largely due to poor yield of tax from the rubber holdings. He wrote in the LinkedIn post article published in 2022. The industry shrinking trend was likely continuous useless. The rubber holding the country are transformed to be economically feasible average yield. Jacob wrote this include a well-programmed support, attractive financial increase, the mid-use replanting cost, and the develop cost till replant trees start yielding after gestation period of around 7 years. Okay, that's it from me. Next, Arizal Bindri.
Okay, this uh, succeeded in attack on Mexican police. Kenji France Press Guna Raja Mexican. An explosive attack on a police patrol has left 6 people dead and 14 wounded in one of the region of Mexican was hit by drug cartel-related violence. Authorities said on Wednesday. It's an act of brutal terror, said Enrique Alfaro, governor of the western state of Jalisco. The attack Thursday night using 7 devices target was and staff from the state sector office in Rajongko de Unica, a sub of the city of Gundala Raja. He said the region is home to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful and violent drug trafficking groups. This is an unprecedented event that show what their organized crime group are capable of, Alvaro said. Without opposing a specific organization, this attack also represents a challenge against the Mexican state as a whole. He added intimidation tactics while firearms are the weapon of choice for cartel members. A car bomb killed a National Guardsman and wounded other in June in Kunanjuando. Another is that it hurt by gang-related violence. The cartel appears to be employing increasingly radical tactics to terrorist security forces, according to experts. These are strategies of extreme violence to intimidate the authorities and the population generation. Gerardo Rodriguez, uh, Taylor can foresee technical investigation on Wednesday the site of explosive attack against a police patrol in Rajumulco de Uniga, a sub in Guadalajara, Jalisco State, Mexican. Researcher at a university that the last American Bubla in a private university told AFP. Earlier this month, an explosive flood drone struck a house in Milwaukee. Another violent spark could state burning one person. Similar drone attacks have been reported in on the Cartel Flashpoint. The objective is to reduce the firepower of rifles from other cars as well as security forces and provide terror among the civil in population. Security consultant David Sujido told AFP describing suit as a necro-terrorism. The Jalisco new generation cartel in particular in know what Ocean Britain attack against authorities. In 2015, its gunman shot down in an army helicopter with rocket propelled grenade and killing member of the security forces. The police patrol was responding to report from a member of a group searching for missing relative who said she had received an anonymous phone call and report about clandestine grave. The governor said it was a trap that version of Ivanov ever basically info question by on such civil society organization in the region. This call was never made to use Indira Navarro, member of a collection of mother of missing person in Jalisco. The press adding that such group were in close contact more than 110,000 people, are listed as having dispersed in Mexican and even looking for them can carry significant risks. Jalisco has the most missing among the country 32 states around 15,000 cents. Uh, Mexico has responded more than 340,000 murders since the launch of a controversial military and drug option in 2006, most attributes to criminal organization. Also on Tuesday, 13 security personnel who had been taken captive the day before by protests in the southern state of Guerrero were released after negotiation with authorities. Officials said the protests were infiltrated by a criminal group in Guerrero, which has endured years of violence like two drug wars between drug cartels. Next, Rafif Irfan Maulana.
Okay, I will ready my newspaper. What are solid full missile and why is and Korea developing them? Hayon Hae-shin, Reuters Seoul. North Korea has won 18 intercontinental ballistic missile (ICBM) launched for the second time on Wednesday uses solid fuel technology giving the capability to launch with lethal preparation. Here are some characteristics of solid fuel technology and how it and help the country improve its missile system. What is solid fuel technology? Solid propellant air mixture of fuel and oxidizer metallic powder such as aluminum often serve as the fuel and ammonium perchlorate. What is the salt of perchloric acid and ammonia? Is the most common oxidizer. The fuel and oxidizer are bound together by a hard rubbery made missile reel and packed into a metal casing. When solid propellant produces oxygen from the ammonium perchlorate combines with aluminum to generate enormous amounts of energy and temperature of the more the 2760 degrees Celsius create and cruise and lifting the missile from the launch pad. Who has the technology? Solid fuel that back to fair was developed by the Chinese centuries ago, but it made a dramatic progress in the mid 20th century when the United States developed more powerful propellants. North Korea uses solid fuel in a range of small, shorter range ballistic missiles. The Soviet Union fielded its first solid fuel ICBM, the RT-2, in the early on Tuesday 970, followed by France's development of its S-3, known as SSBS, a medium-range ballistic. China started testing solid fuel ICBM in the later on Tuesday, 990, more survivable than liquid fuel. North Korea has allowed it has weapons current efficient and advanced. Solid propellant ballistic missile technology tongue in much smaller rockets so far solid versus liquid. Liquid propellant provide greater propulsive Tuesday and power, but require more complex technology and extra weight. Solid fuel is denser and burns quickly, generating thrust over a certain solid for can remain in storage for extended period without degrading or breaking down. A common issue with liquid fuel. Van Depan from US government with some expert who now work with the 38 North project site solid fuel missile are easier and softer to operate and require less logistical support, making them harder to dead and kid panda. A senior fellow at the US based Carnegie Endowment for International Peace said any countering the operator like scale. Missile based nuclear force I will sex solid propellant missile which do not need to be fueled immediately ahead of launch. The capabilities are much more responsive in a time of crisis. Panda said. North Korea said the development of its new solid coal ICBM, the Exxon 18 would radical promote its nuclear counterattack capability. After the first launch, South Korea Defense Ministry sought to downplay the testing, saying on the North would next extra time and effort to turn the technology. Next, Rafli Radiansyah. Next, Rafli.
Okay, guys, I wanted to tell you about my article or less. The IMF approves $3 billion payload forecast start with Pakistan. And the article written by Ashish Shahzad, Reuters or Islamabad, the International Monetary Fund Board approved $3 billion payload programs for Pakistan, which will immediately disperse about $1.2 billion to help stabilize the South Asian ailing economy. The lender said on Wednesday, Pakistan and the fund reached a staff-level agreement last month, securing a short-term pact which got more than the expected funding for the country of 230 million people, which faced an exudate balance for payment crisis with only enough central bank reserves to cover the amount of controlled imports. The board's approval was mandatory before disbursing the first tranche, with the rest of arrive later in installments. Economic stabilization, the IMF executive board approved a 9-month standby arrangement SBA for Pakistan for an amount of $2,250 million, uh, about $3 billion or 111% of quota to support the authorities' economic stabilization program. The leader of the statement, it said Pakistan faces a difficult external environmentally devastating floods and policy missteps have led to large fiscal and external deficits, raising inflation and eroded the surplus buffer in FY 23, the Jail a Lifeline for Pakistan, which has been of the task of default, came after 8 months of tough negotiation over fiscal disciplines. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the bailout was a much major step forward in the government's efforts to stabilize the economy and achieve macroeconomic stability. It bolstered Pakistan's economic opposition to overcome immediate to medium-term economic challenges, giving the government the fiscal space to charty the way forward, he said, terming it a milestone. Sharif it was achieved against the heaviest odds and against a seemingly impossible deadline. Sheriff coalition government due to face national election this year and must undertake more painful fiscal discipline measures to satisfy the IMF. It included the central bank raising its policy interest rate to a record high of 22%, while ordinary Pakistanis fragile, with inflation running at about 29% and the government raising 385 billion rupees in the new taxes policy answer. The IMF said the fresh funding will provide a policy answer for addressing domestic and external imbalance and a framework for financial support from multilateral and bilateral partners. The program will focus on implementation of the FY 24 budget to facilitate Pakistan needed fiscal adjustment and ensure that sustainability while protecting critical social spending. A return to the market determined exchange rate create a proper FX market functioning to absorb external shock and eliminating FX volatility. The IMF said it wanted Islamabad to ensure tight monetary policy aimed at disinflation and further progress on structural reform, particularly in the energy and health sector. State-owned enterprise, governments, and climate resilience, the deal which has already proved some relief for investors in the country's stock exchange trade and bonds, will unlock more external financing. Okay, Hafsal Rashid, can you tell about your newspaper?
Okay, my third round. Okay, I wanna read my newspaper. Okay, the word is expecting expansion of the rubber industry in the near future, but Indonesia may not get a piece of pie in the face of lagging downstream of the commodity. The value global rubber market is expected to reach 51.21 million US dollar by 2027 from 40.77 billion US dollar in 2019 due to rising demand from the automotive construction and aerospace
Sih kalau cara
industry,
kau yang delok sih,
according
kalau cara kau
to
ngguri.
report from the Fortune Business Insight. Others factor include the
Ibu,
expanded mar- market for natural rubber
tidak. Aku sih
and
pasangan rasa
increased
lali.
demand for the industrial durable goods, such as lining for
Ibu tindak,
petroleum and chemical
tindak
tanks,
gak sih?
as well as automotive gasket and seals. As Spain, chairman of the Indonesian Rubber Council, told the Jakarta Post on Wednesday that Indonesia might not able to develop its downstream rubber industry. In time to seize the enormous opportunity, Indonesia rubber industry has suffered a significant decline, as he said, pointing to an increased of rubber factories that had closed in the last 4 years. That closures were due to cleaning raw materials. He explained, whereas other countries were continuing to intensify plantation expansion and downstream the industry development. As this points to example of Thailand, where almost upstream output was used input for that country rubber industry. In contrast, roughly 15% of total rubber output in Indonesia was absorbed by domestic industry. Indonesia produced 3.14 million tons of natural rubber last year, according to Statistic Indonesia or BPS, a figure that has remained stagnant for the past decade. According to International Trade Center in Online Jakarta, Indonesia is the world's second largest export of natural rubber after Thailand, but its output has been facilitating a downward trend for at least 5 years. BPS data showed that Indonesia shipped 3.94 million tons of rubber in 2017, after which rubber shipment declined steady each year to reach 2.78 million tons in 2022, a total decline of almost 30%. If your condition continues to persist today, Indonesia will not be able to maintain its position as a second largest rubber producer worldwide, let alone develop its downstream industry. It is a pity because Indonesia has enormous potential. That, as he said, Erwin Tunas, Executive Director of Indonesian Rubber Produce Association Orgakpindo, told the Post on Wednesday that the rubber industry had a nationally wide processing capacity of 4.6 million tons, but it only see 2.6 million tons supply of the raw materials. This had resulted in the relatively low utilization rate of 57.4%. He continued, and many rubber factories end up closing because of storage of natural rubber. Indonesia has a relatively high processing capacity, but is not coupled by steady growth in natural rubber or output, Erwin told in the Post on Wednesday. He attributed the decline in production primarily to the lack of rubber rejuvenation of plantation combined with disease and extreme weather impact from La Nina in the last 3 years. Consequently, he said many farmers were switching to cultivating oil palms instead of rubber trees because they were demand more profitable. For existing smallholder, Rubber Farmer Day challenge had been exacerbated by a growing difficulty in obtaining subsidized fertilizer in recent years. Erwin said. Statista report that the average global price of rubber was $1.54 per kilogram as of this April. This in marked a sharp fall from its peak price of $4.82 per kilogram in 2011, according to Singapore Commodity Exchange. In the line with global price decline, Indonesia farm gate price from rubber had dropped to be and to between 8,000 rupiah and 9,000 rupiah per kilograms, while the deal price was above 10,000 rupiah per kilogram. Erwin said. John Jacob, chief of analytics and co-founder of What's Next Rubber Media International, said Indonesia used to be preferred source of natural rubber for many automobile tire complaints in the world, mainly because of its cost advantage over its South Asian peers. However, Indonesia natural rubber has lost